Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this community update. My name is MJ Tim. I'm the Senior Director of Community Relations and Communications for the Anchorage School District. Today, the district administration is available to provide the latest information to families as we prepare to start the school year with a bus driver staffing shortage. You'll hear from Superintendent Dr. Jared Bryant, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Mark Stock, and then we will field a few questions from our media friends. With that, I will now turn it over to our Superintendent, Dr. Jared Bryant.
Thank you, MJ, and thank you for everyone for joining us for this critical update. My name is Dr. Jared Bryant, ASD Superintendent. We're here to update our community on a severe challenge related to student transportation this year. Firstly, I want to thank our ASD families for their patience. I understand this situation directly impacts you and your ability to plan. Next Thursday is the first day of school, and you need to know what we can share at this time. Please understand that as soon as I was informed of the potential severity, I wanted you to know what I knew. It's vital that you have as much information as we can deliver. It's why we're here today. Even though we continue to make progress retaining more and hiring new bus drivers, the situation isn't improving fast enough. This will require adjustments to transportation service district-wide. This will happen in tandem with continuing to recruit staff and working towards restoring the level of service that our families expect in their school system. The district faces a severe shortage of bus drivers. Staff recruitment and retention is a national and growing problem, and the district is thinking out of the box to find short-term and intermediate solutions. Again, with the start of school a week away, we need to plan for the reality of today. I am committed to providing as much as we can, as much information as we can, so that families can plan accordingly. I will now hand it off to Deputy Superintendent Dr. Mark Stock to discuss what will be done here in ASD to minimize disruptions to our students' educational programming and services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant, and thanks to all who are tuning in and listening to this update. The bottom line is this: ASD is unable to provide full-time busing for all eligible students in general education. We have approximately 20,000 students who are eligible for bus transportation. Our current staffing levels indicate that we'll only be able to serve about 7,000 students at any one time. We understand how difficult this will be. Most families have come to depend on safe and consistent transportation from their school bus drivers, and we've been happy and pleased to be able to deliver that. However, how did we get here? Well, currently we're about 71 drivers short. The good news is it was 76 drivers short last week. We've implemented some aggressive recruiting strategies and retention strategies. We believe those are showing some success. We have about 14 new drivers in training as we speak, and we believe that we'll be chipping away at this issue as we go. Nevertheless, recruitment takes time. This is a state and national problem. I was looking yesterday, and I noticed a survey of national transportation directors nationwide, and it said that 90% of them indicated across our country they have a bus driver shortage, and 30% of those said it was severe. I don't know what's below severe, but I feel like as ASD, we're right in that range of some critical issues we have to solve. This is going to impact all general education students who are eligible for transportation. Our students who have special education bus routing due to their individual education plan, their IEP, will not be affected. Those legal requirements for busing students with needs will continue as they have in the past. However, this does impact all the general education students who are eligible. Of course, it doesn't affect those who walk. There is a 1.5-mile radius for those who live within a walking region. Of course, they were not getting transportation before. So it doesn't affect those, but it does affect all the others. All our other eligible students will be on a rotating bus schedule. And so what can parents do? Well, one thing we can do is continue to pull together as a community. We can recruit is the best we can do right now. Parents can carpool, and many families were bringing their kids to school already. We would recommend they continue to try to help their friends and neighbors out for a couple of reasons. One is to get our students to school. That's the most important thing of all. On the other hand, some of our school sites are very difficult for parent drop-off and pickup in terms of the safety, the security, the congestion. If you can imagine 4 times as many parents trying to individually drop their children off, that will cause delays and things. So our principals will have to be working on various plans for efficiencies of drop-off and pickup and supervision before school, after school, whatever we have to do to try to help our families, we will do our best. This is a true call to the community for support. It takes all of us. We've just come out of the COVID pandemic. We've had a lot of difficulties with schooling across our country, and the last thing our students need now is another issue to deal with. So we will do our best to do everything we can. And at this time, I would like to turn this over to our Acting Chief Operation Officer, Rob Holland, who will talk about how the plan will work.
Thank you, Dr. Stock, and thank you to everyone in the community for listening in today. We are standing up a rotating bus route plan. Routes will be divided into 3 cohorts to provide busing on a rotation. Each student cohort will receive 3 consecutive weeks of transportation. This means 6 weeks in between cohorts without transportation. Routes have been condensed for efficiency, therefore students will be walking further to bus stops than in prior years. This includes our J-Bear schools. This community is our highest priority to return to full service as soon as possible, given the disruptions and challenges they currently face with the Ursa Major relocation project. Special education transportation, as previously stated, will not be impacted at this time. Bus route and cohort information will be available to families by 5 p.m. this Saturday, August 13th. At this time, I'll turn things back over to our Senior Director of Communications, Mr. M.J. Tim, who will take questions. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with questions. We'll start with Alaska News Source, Anchorage Daily News, and Alaska Public Media. Alaska News Source.
So many questions. Why did you decide to go this route with a temporary suspension? 6 weeks seems like a really long time. Was this really the only option?
We were able to maintain busing in several, if not many, of our schools where there was higher poverty levels. But this year, the shortage is so severe that we simply can't do that. We've had to spread it out across. We looked at a couple other things. We looked at just what I call selected schools. We could have just picked the schools that we thought would need it and just provide busing there. But the problem with that is you would only be serving about 20 schools. You'd have 40 plus schools that got no transportation at all. Our intent at this point was to try to spread it around to help everyone somewhat. It is not a good solution. It is the best of the bad solutions. We looked at double drop busing, which would be run a route, drop them off, go do another route, drop them off. The delays that it creates inside the school can be overcome, but that's really not the solution. The solution is to recruit and get drivers and to be as efficient as we can in our routing. So at this time, this is what I'm calling a short-term solution. We are deep in study of intermediate solutions and long-term solutions that we hope will become soon. But those plans will get started soon. But this is the best we can do given the severity of this right now.
May I just clarify too? So it's like 3 weeks on, 6 weeks off, 3 weeks on, and it just continues?
At the current time and staffing with bus drivers, yes. As new bus drivers come on, that number will decrease.
Anchorage Daily News.
Do you have an expectation of how long this is going to last, or what are you sort of telling families on the time frame front?
Well, we can't give a specific number. We're planning it out for the year just to be safe if worse come to worse, and this is the best we can do. We're planning that out. However, that is not our expectation, so we are planning through the first 9 weeks in particular. That's our target. And during that first 9 weeks of the quarter of the year, we will be coming up with other solutions as quickly as we can.
Yeah, thank you for the question, sir. So we do have a requirement that we cannot change. There's a Department of Transportation requirement to have a CDL license, and that really goes to safety. However, the school district has a 3-week training program which we provide for free to new drivers. In fact, I believe we're the only entity in Anchorage that does that. Not only that, but for new driver recruits, we pay salary while they take that training. And so that requirement, I believe this is the fastest course and the easiest course for people to get that essential requirement. Thank you.
Alaska News Source.
Yeah, a couple things. One, just to clarify, you said that the information for parents won't be up until Saturday evening. Why the delay on that?
So the question is, why the delay on Saturday? Why Saturday at 5? A couple different reasons. The first one is it takes about 4 days for our people to completely go through and build all the routing. So they're working on that now, and then it's going to take a day or two for our IT department and programmers' computer to pull all that data and to get it plugged in individually into every single child's Parent Connect portal, so a parent can go in Friday at 5 o'clock. They should be able to go in and see I ride bus 47 and my transportation will be this 3-week block, and now I can start planning. And so that's how long it took to do the routing and then the IT work to get that plugged in.
Does it say, for example, or will it say, for example, okay, so this is happening 2 weeks into the school year or whatever? Like, how far in the future does that go? Could I, as a parent, look and say, oh, in 2 months I'm going to have another 6-week stretch?
It's the first 9 weeks. For how long? For the 9 weeks. Yeah. For the first 9 weeks, it's all laid out so a parent can see.
Anchorage Daily News.
Yeah, during the shortages last year, do you have any information about like absenteeism rates going up? Was that something you saw? Are you using that to inform how this year's working, or what are sort of?
Are you speaking of student absenteeism?
Yeah.
So with student absenteeism, it's really hard to figure out factors because with the COVID and the online and the back and forth and the various illness issues that were sweeping through the spring that weren't even COVID related, it's hard for us to know exactly. But yes, attendance has been down, but it's hard to say that we could say it was because of the rotating bus schedules from last year. So we don't know that.
So just if you guys could speak up on your questions, we'll try our best to repeat them, but we've got to keep in mind that the folks that are watching from home, so you guys can just speak a little bit louder. Your last something.
So you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys said that there was going to be sort of an incentive for people looking to get into it. Is there still an incentive? Like how are you guys,
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for the question and helping us communicate that out today. So we have a retention incentive and a hiring incentive. That is up to $2,500 bonus pay for the first semester, paid monthly, up to $500 per month. Of course, it does depend on actually working the day, so there's a pro rate. But yeah, $2,500 bonus incentive applies to existing and new driver recruits. Thank you.
Alaska News Source.
I have a question. Will this affect how long it takes students to get back and forth from school on buses?
So the current model, and one of the reasons we chose the current model, is that it does not cause actual delays. This does not delay school start time at this time. Thank you.
Anchorage Daily News.
Is the district still contracting with a bus company this year? And can you talk about that relationship?
Yeah, for many years, the ASD has contracted with a bus transportation provider. Approximately 2/3 of our routes are contracted. The current contract is with Reliant, and approximately 1/3 is with ASD. None of that has changed, and that's been in practice for many years.
Is the shortage in drivers stemming from one or the other, or is it coming from both?
Well, the shortage is coming from both, absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Your last news.
not you guys, I don't know if you guys covered it, but is there a reason as to why there is a shortage?
Well, it's hard to say. I can tell you that nationally, the average age of bus drivers has been climbing. I've been reading that, so I'm assuming there's some of that as well. But we also have a lot of competition for drivers here in the Anchorage Bowl. As you're all aware, tourism is now on the increase now that COVID has faded. So there are lots of folks who need drivers of all kinds, and everything from Amazon to dropping off delivery of packages all over. The CDL is demanding a very valuable license right now, and our call out to the community would be to look and see if there's anything that anyone could do to help support that. And I'm going to put a plea in for even part-time drivers. There may be people who could do one shift in the morning and drop an early route of high school students, but then go to work. If there are, we don't do a lot of that in the past, but we're open to everything. If there are drivers out there who would do a different shift and just run one of those tiered routes, they would help us immensely. So there's a lot of different things the community could do to support us, and that's just one.
We're going to do one more round of questions. We'll start with Alaska News Source.
Is there an agreement with the district and People Mover buses so that students can ride those buses for free to school? Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it works?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Lauren. There is, and it's been in the past as well. High school students can ride those buses. We're not attempting to extend that to middle or elementary school riders due to safety, but that agreement you speak of is still in effect.
For high school students?
For high school students, that's correct,
Do
yes.
they need to show a school ID, do you know? Or how that
Yeah,
works?
and a school ID, and for this particular time, they could even show last year's ID if they don't have their newly issued ID at this time. Thank you.
Anchorage Daily News. Oh, did you have
I was just going to add to a couple of things. One of them is our high schools will be suspending the parking fees for our drivers. We do have a lot of high school drivers that literally do bring their own siblings to school and drop them off, go to school, or do the driving for the family. We'll be suspending all those parking fees. They will still have to do the permit and fill it out so we know which cars are on campus, but those fees will be suspended. We're also researching details to follow. Last year we used, for families in financial need who had to drive, we used gas cards that we could help support families in need with if we could help them that way. We are going to expand that program and also provide those. The process will flow through the principals at the local school in need. That more detail will come later, but those are two other things that we're doing to try to support our families.
Anchorage Daily News.
Yeah, I'm actually curious about the gas card program. Can you talk about how it worked last year and how it would work this year, just given gas prices right now?
Well, last year we used $50 gas cards. We'll probably use a lower dollar amount this year so that more folks can participate. What we found is that people were very conscientious about them. I mean, we thought there'd be a lot higher usage, but families that needed them came and got them, and those that didn't. And so we literally only used about half of those that we had made available last year, so we'll have those for the start of school. But we'll probably be working through the details on that.
Where does that money come from? Is it general?
Well, that would have to come from our finance officer. I'm not sure. The question is where does that fund for the gas card come from? We'll get you that information.